Imagine a workplace where every employee feels valued, engaged, and inspired. Welcome to Incredible Workplaces, where exceptional work cultures are recognized and celebrated. Incredible Workplaces is dedicated to evaluating and certifying organizations that prioritize employee well-being, engagement, and inclusivity. Our assessments are grounded in the PULSE framework, promoting values and beliefs, unified communication, leadership development, supportive environment, and environment for innovation and adaptability. We offer 2 certification levels: Gold, focusing on self-evaluation, and Platinum, which includes comprehensive employee feedback for a holistic view of your workplace culture. Achieving certification enhances your employer brand, attracts top talent, and fosters a culture of continuous improvement. Beyond certification, we provide access to exclusive events, best practices, and a community committed to workplace excellence. Our certification programs are competitively priced to provide value for organizations of all sizes. Join the ranks of organizations committed to excellence. Visit incredibleworkplaces.com to start your certification journey today.
Super excited that we are Incredible Workplaces certified.
We are feeling pride to be certified as Incredible Workplace Organization.
We are very happy to be certified from Incredible Workplace.
Feeling proud to be recognized as Incredible Workplace Certified Organization.
Let's create workplaces incredible with Incredible Workplaces. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our audience from all over the world. And today I'm again excited to bring you another exciting episode of Culture Connect by Incredible Workplaces, where we bring global leaders across the globe to talk about work culture and various aspects that are associated with it. And today I am very, very excited to have Miguel with us from Recluta Talent Hunter Latin America. And he's the managing director in the company and has served many organizations in multiple ways. But before I talk more about you, Miguel, would you like to talk a little bit about yourself and the organization that you work with?
Gavin, thank you so much for this kind invitation for Incredible Workplaces. We're here in Costa Rica, but even though we're in a small country, Central America, we have 3 offices. We have one office in Miami, Florida, for the US customers that we have that have presence in Latin America, and then a second office in Dominican Republic, which is the Caribbean, a country that is growing a lot. And what we do basically is to help companies to transform themselves in terms of attracting talent. We do headhunting and recruitment, but at the same time, we help companies that wish to arrive into Latin America with different systems, methodologies, and infrastructure like BOT, like payroll systems. So what we do is support companies, trying to help them with recruitment, culture setup, and to understand the Latin American culture, all the way from Mexico to Argentina, Brazil, and countries in South America, and Central America, and the Caribbean. So pretty much we're a small company. We're not a big, large company with 15 people throughout the region. And what we do is support that client's needs in any country in Latin America.
That's fantastic. And Miguel, I would say that while having a prep conversation with you, I was really excited to understand that the experience that you have with the multiple cultures, especially the global setup that we have. And this is exactly what we would like to talk today here. I believe that organizations are becoming more global, and employees and all the team members need to speak with multiple cultures many a time. And I'm sure that you must have faced the same kind of challenges, and your client must have come to you to tackle those kind of aspects as well. And we're going to talk about all of them. So it's going to be an interesting one. But before we start, I would just want to tell my audience that please leverage this opportunity to ask as much as questions that you want to ask Miguel. We have 45 minutes with him. So please prepare your questions, put on the comment box. You want to send some suggestions also, please feel free to do that. If you have a comment on what I say and what Miguel say, please do that as well. So looking forward to that conversation. But before you guys prepare and put your questions, let me start my conversation with Miguel. And Miguel, one thing that I'm always passionate about in building the work culture is trust, um, which is basically, I believe, is the foundation of any culture. And also, same time, many organizations struggle between working remote, working hybrid, working from home. This has added another angle to the difficulties that leaders might used to have for building the culture. So, in your opinion, and also share as many as example you can, as if you are, it is not that confidential for you. Share as much example you can. Tell us that in your experience of working with all your clients and big business leaders, what do you think that the top behavior they should exhibit to make sure that they are working on building trust in their organization?
As you mentioned, Govin, companies have different issues, different problems to solve, but they provide different solutions as well. Some of those solutions works, some others doesn't work at all. But what we see for any company, being a multinational, being a local company, being a Latin American, Caribbean, even European companies that are based here in the Latin American region, are three things that we see most commonly not working or working. First one is leading by example from the leadership. Imagine the big challenge that a new company have when upcoming to Latin America. You know, our culture is friendly culture, but at the same time, the structure from many outside companies are different. So they have to adapt to the local culture in order to be successful. If not, they will be just disappearing within the first year, and that unfortunately has been happening because not understanding the local culture. Second, what we see from successful companies are consistent and structured communication with their team. And pretty much, we're talking on leadership. Leadership runs everything, depends on the number one, number two, and the leaders that you have in the different departments. And the last one is recognition and empowerment of the people. Younger generations, they want to be empowered, they want to be having different type of projects, they want to fly overseas to do something else. So those are the three items that we see when it comes to building trust in organizations that are the ones that are more impacted by not being well managed or being very well managed, depending on the company and depending on the leadership sides in these cases in Latin American region.
Yeah, and I think you touched upon a point that that the generation piece of it, and I think there's this very hot topic that there are Generation Gs and then there are millennials, and there's always a hard time working with them. In your experience working with clients and serving them and helping them, do you find these kind of challenges also in Latin America, or maybe your clients which are outside Latin America, where they have come up and said, "Hey, we have a problem." Uh, Specific to a particular generation, or they might have come to you for advice of how to deal with generation gaps. Is there any such example that you have, or your overall observations on that?
The more successful companies are first understanding what are the different generation gaps. They're doing different things. What we've seen lately over this last year from many companies, that actually that's a service that we provide, are mentorship programs. Mentorship programs depending on the type of and the size of the company. We have the big brands, the big US companies in Costa Rica, very well-known corporations, that they bring their people for 1 to 3 years and they're the mentors of the local ones. We also have people coming from different countries, establish their company in Latin America, and then they train the local leadership to become the leaders, the leaders to do all the structure based on trust. Something that I always said when it comes to headhunting and recruiting, if you are not well prepared in terms of culture and trust within your team, that you have to solve that, because it's not a recruitment issue, it's more a culture issue what you have in your hands. So pretty much in the work that we do with companies is trying to make the leadership conscious of how companies work in Latin America and how they can be different from other companies that are not being successful over the time. Right now, as you know, we are having changes in the political landscape on companies with tariffs. So that is something that keep us worried with our client companies to see that we need to work much on the people than in the processes.
Yeah, and I think you touched upon the political change that is happening and a lot of uncertainty right now in the market. It is, I would say, it's not specific to a country; it's all over the globe right now. I'll just ask a question connected with that to you. And I think last 2 and 3 years, what I have observed is that a lot of not only the political things, but the changes in the technology also, and specifically I'm talking about the IT industry. The technology changes. Sometimes companies are themselves not aware how to leverage AI, data science, and machine learning, and the traditional technologies they don't want to invest a lot. What is happening because of that is that the clients are putting their money in their pocket to make sure that they don't want to invest into the traditional technology, waiting for investing in AI, but they don't know how to use it in AI. Because of which, I believe there are a lot of restructuring happening, there are a lot of layoffs happening. I don't know, there's a market impact to that also. And when these kind of things happen, and we totally understand, right? If the business is not doing well, it's very hard for business to sustain manpower for a longer period of time, right? On bench or giving them money from their own pocket. Totally understandable. But even if it is true, the impact of such layoffs and restructuring makes a dent on the trust that employee has on the organization. Now, my question to you is, how does HR and business leaders, and what should they do, right? Before even the layout, during the layout, after the layout, restructuring, what, and I'm sure you might have a lot of examples in that area. What can they do to make sure that the trust of the existing employees does not go away because of the layoffs that you have done? So what do you think about that?
Uh, my thought process on this is that low trust environments are easy to get in. What we see here is not communication many times, it's more leadership. Trust collapses when it comes to downsizing. Uh, what we have seen, the successful ones, the HR leaders that we have communication with in a daily basis, are to think more strategically. As you know, one of the concerns of many HR leaders are that the top leadership doesn't take account that they are leaders for being strategic, not just operational, just paying the payroll every month. That's something that some companies have been has been very successful. Let me tell you something. We have a client customer from India. They downsize almost 400 people here in Costa Rica, basically because of technology, customer service related call center. And what they do is something that we see very few times in this continent, is outplacement programs for everybody. Actually, we're working right now in a proposal for an outplacement program for a huge company with 500 people living in the semiconductor business. So pretty much what we're seeing is the understanding of the local culture, and then put in place the outplacement programs. Yes, we're downsizing, but at the same time, we're taking care of your career. We're going to be working with external consulting firm in order for you to be more to be more visible in the employing working place. So that is something of in that we did not see 3 5 years ago. The outplacement programs, the career transition programs that we do are just skyrocketing year over year because companies are realizing, the HR leaders are recognizing that the employee is not just a good person within their companies, but in such a small economies that we have, if we compare Latin America and each individual country with India and other countries, is personal treatment, is personal confidence in each individual leaving the company. At the end of the day, an ex-employee or employee departing, it will be always an ambassador for the company, for the brand. So HR leaders and the leadership are recognizing that more now than in the last 3 5 years.
Yeah, I think I love the placement assistant program, and I think this is really creative because I think that's the least organization can invest once an employee is out. Uh, think totally understandable business situations. But at the same time, if the leaders can do something that makes sure that the employee feels that they are still being assisted, even if they go out of the organization, they will be always be a brand ambassador of the organization, even if they are out of the organization.
And Govin, let me interrupt you. We have seen something that we did not see before: succession planning. Have you heard about succession planning? Most of the companies, no matter the size, no matter the region, they don't have succession planning. They just do whatever they want to do once someone is leaving the company or they have a downsizing. So what we've been seeing is that strategic thinking is empowering more the HR leaders to become real C-suite executive and decision makers. So that succession planning, the outplacement, that's something that is for this part of the world is something that is new, that is really giving more confidence to the people, not employee, to be living in a better workplace. And the younger generations, they want to see where they're going to be working before saying yes to a job contract. So very sensible terms, very sensible issues go in terms of how we can better deploy the culture even before or after the employee leaves or comes from the company.
Yeah, and I remember that you also mentioned earlier when we were having a prep conversation that culture is something that people in Latin America do look when they plan to, and I think it's a very, very key thing because it's not only about the comp that attracts people, but it's also about the culture that they're going into. And one of our audience, Priyanshu, has this question for you. I have my opinion, but I'd like to hear your first. And he's asking, what role does leaders' personal values play in shaping organization culture? So I'm sure that's really interesting. What do you think about it?
Oh, that's the most important thing. Exactly. That is what I told you in the beginning. Leading by example. You cannot have a leader who says something that did not really come to a place with different setup. Success. What we see success. Leaders that they can go and have a coffee with the employee. They do have a birthday or party or cake in a monthly basis. Leaders that do really empower the people to do what they're asked to do in terms of how what are the best results and what are not the best results. Let me give you an example. We have companies that are working not on the who but on the what in terms they call it the blameless postmortems. They analyze what went wrong, what happened, but not the who, if not the what. And that comes from the leadership. That is key when it comes to a person who is leading a company. It doesn't matter the size. It might be a company of 5, 10 people. It might be a company with 1,000 employees. Everything comes through the voice of the leader. Every time that a leader speaks up, is building culture within the company. We've been seeing many examples. I can tell you, we have some companies, the leaders, they do handwritten notes to employees once they have a milestone accomplished. They celebrate publicly. They use LinkedIn or they use another social media in order to celebrate success. That is what is leading by example. That is some conduct, some behaviors that people love to have, and the best companies are very well known because of that.
Yeah, and you spoke about the celebration of success. So I just want to take you to the failure part as well. And for innovation, I think failure is one of the aspect of that. When you're innovating, you're being creative. There's always a risk of you being fail in that. And many culture, no culture, I believe no culture is good or bad. It's a culture of the organization. It's different from organization to organization as well. But I'm going to talk about a little bit of a psychological safety in the culture ambient. So let me ask you this. Um, if you want people to be innovative and creative, they will fail. How a leader, balance this, right? You don't want people to fail every single time because you have a performance that you need to drive as well. What's your opinion? How that balance to be maintained by HR or business leaders You want a psychological safety, but you want people to fail, but not every single time. What's your take on that?
Self-confidence is everything for employee. Self-confidence, psychological safety builds the right culture and build trust. We see some companies doing a great job, even though before the employee becomes employee of the company. What we're doing at Recruiter, actually, and this is something that always seemed like after COVID, after the pandemic, we've been having client customers that they say, Miguel, we wanna do this recruitment, this headcounting, but please take into consideration our culture. And the meeting before we start the process is to see what are the 10 things, the 5 things that really move your culture ahead with the type of people that do you want. And there are some tests, psychological tests, in order to see where the company wants to go, what are the values of that company, and then we look after that same values, similar concepts within the candidate base, the candidate pipeline. So pretty much this is new for us. We always run different tests once the employee has been offered. Usually this test, the behavior test. But in this case, we're moving differently. We're doing testings before the employee is even in contact with the hiring manager. Companies are very keen on culture right now in order to be competitive. And in highly competitive structures like we have in Latin America, that it's not just about recruitment, it's about retention. And retention is started by psychological, by behaviors, by values, by the things that are not well seen in LinkedIn profiles or resumes. So that's being key in what we've seen happening and changing in this part of the world. I don't know if it happened the same in your country.
No, I think culture is always a piece that people look into, especially when they reach to a mid-level to high-level positions, because they do not want to change the organization that quickly, because it's also a bad thing on their resume, especially in that career that they're at the top level of their career. That's definitely a thing, and I love the way it's not about recruitment, but it's also about retention, because
Yeah.
if we start thinking about it in advance in the recruitment level, I know it's going to make your life tougher because you are providing.
No, Govin, we in Latin America, we're very personal. The approach that we have usually is one-to-one. We like to visit our clients' offices, at least have 2 or 3 calls before engagement with attracting talent. And, and many times, the companies doesn't have a recruitment issue. They call you because they need people. Sometimes they have a culture issue. They do not trust. The name of the company is not well positioned in social media. Younger generations, any generations, if you don't like the work that your company is doing on your behalf, or the culture is not the right one, they will be going to LinkedIn, and they will be doing Facebooking, and they will be bad mouthing the company. So some leaders acknowledge that that's its a current challenge, social media, daily basis, hourly basis, minute basis, and they're doing an excellent job. Some other leaders, some other companies, they don't know how to do it. They kind of cope with the changes that are run in different generations and the technology that we have. Imagine today. Today is not even 7 a.m. in my country, in the American continent, but you are almost going to home. You're almost going home. When I'm having my morning coffee, you are almost having your dinner, and we're communicating to each other, not knowing each other personal. You're on the other side of the world. For me, I'm in the Americas right now, so pretty much see the importance of how companies are being globalized, but the mentality and the individuals many times are not globalized. So the work that an HR leader has to do is tremendous, it's humongous in terms of deploying the right qualities and having the right people in the right setups in the culture of each of the companies.
Yeah, and this reminded me of one of the conversation I was having with one of my old friend, and I didn't realize when he said maybe today in our generation, or maybe a generation after us, uh, they are still trying to learn cultural differences. But what is, sorry about that. Sorry about that. So
A client customer is calling you. Close that deal. Close that deal.
yeah, what I was saying is that he was mentioning to me is that that our generation and the generation after us are more like when we go to organization and work with the global companies, we do get some cultural awareness sessions to understand the culture because we work in the global. Most of the organization nowadays are global in some or other way. They are working with different part of the world, but the generation today. So my daughter right now is 15. So she she is living in the global environment. Her pop stars are not from India. They are from different part of the world, right? The movies that she's watching are not maybe Indian, from other parts. That the kind of clothes, the kind of songs, everything is very global, right? So, and the food, of course, the food she's taking is not necessarily only Indian, and she knows all the cuisines that I don't even know. I feel that to sometime after some time, maybe the world will become like that. That because the accessibility, right, the communication, the knowledge about other culture. Even I think the traveling and it's not that costly nowadays. Is yeah is kind of okay. The cost of the hotel in Costa Rica and India might be costing you the same. It's just a difference of
Exactly.
just the difference of the currency, but it's gonna cost you the same with the same value. So I don't know how the future world will look like, but I think it's very important to really highlight what you just said, that you like your client, you like to work with your client on a personal level because your culture is like that, but other culture might be different. And I think that's a very key point, especially for the global organizations, to be aware that its culture is not only about the culture of your country; it's a culture of the organization that you also need to build. And I think the employees all over across the world need to also adapt to that particular culture. We are getting flooded, by the way, with the questions. I don't know which one to pick. We have very less time. But I think you touched upon one thing that I would like to kind of put it on the screen. And you spoke about it. Like I think you said that before the hiring a person nowadays, you're also doing a cultural fitment. So can a culture be measured meaningfully? If so, what indicators do you watch closely to assess work culture health? Interesting question. Like, is some culture something that you can put on like KPIs, like ENPS? What do you think?
I guess we're sick and tired of being engagement surveys. You can do the surveys, whatever you want to do, and then what happened with the results? And and the most important thing, what are you going to be do about it? So what we've been seeing working is a little bit different. Companies should have leading indicators of what they want to do with their culture. Many times, if it's a multinational headquarters in Chicago, they have to adapt to the local culture, even though they're already working how many years, coming to a new country, they have to adapt to the new country. Some companies understand that, some other companies take a little bit more time. And they see that because of the staff and personal talking in the coffee shops. Secondly, we have to see behavioral signs of how the individuals are conducting themselves. If I arrive late all the time, if I have to go and working from the office every single day. We have companies that work from the office every single day. And then real-time feedback. That is key. So pretty much is what I see. Leading indicators by the upper management and everybody as well turns into results. We have some very good tools in order to know that from the employees. We have to monitor, for example, the turnover of the company, why people is leaving, the exit interviews, why you're leaving us, uh, how can we improve, what type of enhancements we should be doing, initially, how was the onboarding process. It was the personalized onboarding process, and this might be very difficult when it comes to hiring 100 people at the same time. And we have many of those cases in Latin America because of the nearshoring. Companies are deploying the workforce now in Latin America because of what's going on in the world. And 360 feedback as well is very necessary in terms of knowing what is the engagement of the people. So I'm looking for different feedback channels. You know that we use WhatsApp, we use Facebook, we use LinkedIn. There are many tools on the feedback channel that we use. So pretty much I don't have a single answer to this, but leading indicators are a key part. Okay, we want to measure this, and then what are next steps? That is the problem. We have a lot of companies doing, the diagnosis of what's going on, the assessments, but once we have the results, most companies that we see, they're not doing the extra work in order to have that really to be effective within the teamwork that they have. So pretty much that is the challenge that we're seeing in companies, and the companies that do really have that leading indicators, the behavioral science and all set up, those are the companies that run with less attrition, people talking very nicely on the company, people becoming ambassadors, talking on LinkedIn on how well it is to work in this workplace. So this is not when they everything is done. This is culture. This is daily. This is in a daily basis, and this should be coming from the heart of the leaders in terms of the team that they have.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you. It cannot be a single indicator that should be put in place to evaluate culture. But I really appreciate, and I think it makes a lot of sense to watch at the different levels and different indicators to make sure that whether you are culturally going in the right direction or not. It cannot be only one. And I really appreciate that you said that it's not only about just looking at those indicators, but also taking actions after knowing where these indicators are. In fact, just today itself, we were having a conversation with a client where we were showing them on the analysis of their employee culture survey that we did.
Mhm.
And at the end, this is my biggest ask from them. I just said that we can't force you to take actions on what we just are showing you on the culture aspect, but we really appreciate if you close the loop by first making a communication to your employees that you heard them, acknowledging the things that they have mentioned in the culture survey. We do the pulse survey with the employees while we assess the organizations for incredible workplaces. So we ask them to just make an announcement of acknowledgement that you understand what they have said in the surveys, but also if there are some action that you are taking, just tell them that also. And if you're not taking actions on
Yeah.
some aspect, to tell that as well, right? So
Mhm.
that they, next time when you do any culture survey, they will be more open because they know that you are listening, but not only listening, but you are also willing to take actions wherever the organization feels okay to take those actions.
Yeah, Govin, there is a seminal book who provides examples on tactics and strategics on, and you know that book is named The Speed of Trust. The Stephen Covey, Stephen Memar Covey, is been reading more than 15 years ago, and that book, the reading, I suggest that the Speed of Trust book, it gives highlight of how the successful companies are doing it. And even though it was reading more than 10 years ago, I guess it's 15 years ago, it keeps you with good ideas of how to do this. Right now, right now it's difficult. It's difficult. It's not easy. It's a challenge for the HR teams. First of all, to attract the right talent. Secondly, that the right talent stays more than a year. People usually change jobs now from 1.5, 2 years. People just want to change, and if they're not given the opportunity, if they don't have a local a project in the same company, they will be looking at overseas. And the third one, not having the right culture is what is costing a lot of money to companies wherever they come from. So basically, that's my recommendation. And secondly, there is a new book which I was invited to the launch here in Costa Rica, Trust and Inspire. Trust and Inspire by Stephen Covey as well. And that book provides key feedback on what the companies are doing, because everybody, even us, we're a consulting company, which we're not a large company, we have our more challenges in terms of the talent structure that we have. Uh, it's amazing. We are leaders in Costa Rica in terms of attracting talent. We're the largest in terms of the number of vacancies that we're filling up right now for our client customers. But even though that, we need to treat very well the employees that we have. the employees of the companies needs to know when the company is winning and when the company is losing. Because at the very end, we cannot say that the P&L is just overseen by the top management. Everybody should be knowing something about it. It's not about communication. It's about leadership, Govin, what we've been seeing in many companies.
That's so true. And thank you for sharing the reference of the books. And I'm sure the audience will definitely take a note of it, read it, and I believe that they will get some insights from there. There is an interesting question from Uruz that I think I need to definitely put on the screen for both of us. It's a long one, but I can tell you. Uh,
Pura vida. That's what we say in Costa Rica. Pure life. We are very actually in different rankings. Costa Rica is the most happy country of the world. But pura vida is what we said in a commonly. We salute people with pura vida. That means we're okay. We're okay. Everything will be okay. Hakuna matata. Everything is perfect.
yeah, I think that's a great example of the culture understanding. Yeah.
Yeah.
So great, thank you, Ruz. But I think her question is simple yet the most asked question from many people. And the question here is, how do you bridge the gap between management and employee when it comes to building a positive workplace culture? So, any example that comes to your mind where you have seen this, and or maybe an assignment that you have worked on and you wanted to share with us some insights from there?
What we enter when we visit companies is incredible. Everything comes to a Zoom call or Teams call. But when you visit companies, you can feel once you start walking the offices and we start talking to the leaders. We have leaders that really understand what is transparency, what is communication, open communication. It's not about punishment. It's about communicating. It's not about the who. It's about the what happened. How can we improve? I, in my opinion, and what we've been seeing locally, is when the managers put themselves in the position of the employee. That is key. We have a case here in Costa Rica. Is a global company. The manager usually goes and visit the floor. This is a company of more or less 300 employees. He visits them. He knows the names of most of the employees. For some upper management, middle management, they know the names of their sons and daughters. They know where they live. They know what's going on with their parents. So that type of leadership that knows, that really take cares from the heart, are the leadership that are not bridging a gap. They're bridging unity, transparency, good communication. For the cultures in Latin America, that is the key for success. And I understand the culture from the US as well, that many times doesn't happen. But in the setup of culture in Latin America, um, it's about personal contact. Another example, we have a client company that they go and have a beer on Fridays afternoon to any local restaurant. So that communication is key. We have seen some other, they have soccer tournaments between companies from the same sector. They do that engagement. The families assist to Sunday soccer games. So those are few activities, different behaviors that differentiate the winning companies from the challenging companies in terms of how the employees want to stay. We always see employees that have 10, 15, 20 years with a company, and it's not about the salary. It's about the leadership that they have. They don't want to change. They feel like if they were a family. Companies are not families, but they feel trusted. They feel motivated to work, to open the laptop or to go to the office. So those are the few things that we see very commonly in any setup. It doesn't matter where the company comes, U.S. companies or local companies. That is the key. That's the recipe of success for being a very good place to work.
That's awesome. I think you spoke about communication, and there is a lot of behaviors that you're explaining. But there's a question from one of our audience that I put on the screen for you. I don't know whether you want to add something to it or not. I think you have touched upon that little bit. But the question is, how can leaders align organization culture with daily behaviors and decision making? I think I had a lot of examples of daily behaviors that you just explained. I think it's great examples. But do you want to add anything to that question, or you think that it's already been answered?
Uh, uh, stop using the corporate language, okay? Stop using the corporate language. Use the candid language, the daily day. The street language is what we said. People wants to hear people, persons, not machines, not the big CEO that you cannot talk to. That is changing right now because of the generations, because of the better workplace, better workplaces. Um, that is something which is about communicating. Is also communicating the right information but at the right time. People needs to know where the company is going. People needs to know the operational, the middle management, if company is winning or is losing. And many times the upper management doesn't want to just be letting go anything happening strategy wise. But those are the companies that very quickly the employees start leaving. Something happened. I hear something on the news. It happened last week actually. It happened last week. It was something on the news for a company client that we have, and we start receiving resumes. And I say, what's going on? Because I talked to the general manager of this company. Well, something was hitting, not the reality was done in the country. Companies downsizing, but the communication flow, it was not the good one. So people start sending resumes everywhere. They have fear of losing a job. So that happened when communication is not clearly defined, when communication is just loose on everywhere, and that is not good for any company and not for the leadership. The type of stress that the people have when it comes to changes, that should be communicated from one way or another.
Thank you very much. And I know we are coming to very close to the end of our conversation. I still have a lot of questions. I have my own question that I could not pick yet, but I think I've flooded with the question from audience. I'll take one, Miguel, which I think is very, very interesting. Although I personally believe that the top leadership is always the one that has to drive culture, that they should be they should be aligned with the culture the most. But the question is it possible for mid-level managers to even work and influence the culture positively when the top leaders is not actively involved?
Uh, the most common one is town hall meetings. Town hall meetings where you have the top leadership talking to the rest of the people. But the most important on town hall meetings is what's next. Okay, we have this deployment. This is happening with the company. What's next? And the big failure for many companies is doing the town hall meetings, doing the team retreat, or doing something on the weekends, and then not providing feedback, not providing structure, not going to they need to go. That is something that is very common for us to see in companies. They have a retreat in the volcano. We have lots of volcanoes in Costa Rica, or they go to the beach, they rent a house or two or three houses in front of the beautiful ocean, blue waters, and everything is magnificent. A message is deployed, but then next steps are not clearly defined. That is a failure that we see in many companies. So you spend a lot of money, you have the people happy 1 hour, 2 hours, one day, but then what's going on? Communication just fall down and nothing is being achieved.
Awesome. And to our audience, if we are not able to answer all your questions, Miguel will definitely try to look at the recorded version and answer those questions personally to you
Yeah,
on.
I'm very active, Govin, on LinkedIn. Um, uh, Everything is on LinkedIn right now for me. Our consulting practice is based on LinkedIn. We do some Facebook, but it doesn't work as LinkedIn. I get close communication with everybody. We used to be panelists and speaker in different setups in the Latin American region. So I'm pretty much comfortable with answering questions of what's going on in this part of the world and what are the best practices as well. And always to suggest some books because we have to get that knowledge from outside. Uh, Even though Costa Rica and Dominican Republic is a small society, we are very well prepared to attend the foreign companies coming down to Latin America or trying to see what's going on in Latin America right now because of the global changes that we're seeing coming from the US.
Awesome, and thank you for that. So, to all our audience, Miguel is already tagged on our event in LinkedIn, so you can follow him from there. I don't know whether he accepts the connection request or not. This is up to him, but at least follow him, and he will look at your questions and answers those in the recorded one. Before I know that we are over time, but Miguel, there's one question that I really want to ask, right? And then maybe we can close this. Is that in your experience with working with clients? Have you seen any unconventional way where a leader has fostered the culture? Like something that you are like, wow, that is really, really good.
Yes, couple of times. Let me rephrase this. The best leaders are the ones that really understand the culture of the country. The best leaders are the best communicators. The best leaders are the ones that lead by example. I cannot downsize my team if I'm hiring people with very high salaries. I cannot give an example cutting expenses and then having the last model of the last best car in the country. You know, we have to lead by example. We have to lunch with the people. We have to let them know what's going on with the company. Uh, those are the leaders that is not a tough job. It's an easy job to know to each other. Let's have a pizza day. Let's do something. Let's do different dynamics within the team. What you like the most? What do you like to do? What do you prefer to do? What you like the most from your work? What do you see yourself in 2, 3, 5 years? How do you see our company doing? How can we improve this product or services? Those are the type of leaders that really make a change in any environment.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. And I think this all comes from the experience that you have collected working with multiple clients
Yeah.
across all over the world. And really, really thankful to you for finding time and being on the show with us. To our audience, as I said, your questions, we definitely look into it after the event is over and in the recorded version as well. But on behalf of all of you, let me thank Miguel for his presence and sharing his experience with us. Miguel, any last words that you have for the audience before we close, wrap the show today?
We live in a VUCA world. You know, everything is vulnerable, everything is changing. Just keep communicating, just keep recognizing what is the right talent, keep empowering the people, lead by example, construct fine line of communications, and basically, as I wake up every day, let's be happy with the work that we do. Let's open the laptop. Let's open that conversation with a smile every single day. That's my best recommendation for everybody. We need to have the happiest company of the world. We need to be happy working for any company. Things are changing. Psychological stuff is every day in our streets. The society is moving in different directions. Change is everywhere. So let's have a smile and let's keep a positive thinking all the way.
So smile and be happy when you're working every and you brought a smile on my face too. Thank you very much. This is Miguel with us, Managing Director, Recluta Talent Hunt from the Latin Americas. Really, really, really thankful to you for being here and appreciate that you're sharing all your inputs and experience with our audience today. With that said, everybody, we have to wrap up the show and we are going to have another one in next to next week on Thursday, same time with another leader. Until then, bye bye. And Miguel, if you want to say bye to everybody, it's your choice.
Bye bye. See you on LinkedIn.
All right. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye.